All right, boys, real quick before I start talking about this card, I'm doing some simulated fights here. These are just fights that uh, some of these might not be likely fights, but some of these are just fights like matchups that I'd personally like to see. Just some of my favorite fighters, just threw them in there. I put each one of my favorite fighters, and I was just like, who would I like to see them go against next? And yeah, that's what I thought of. So we got MVP, who's my favorite fighter currently, versus Masvidal. I only want this because I want to see him knock him out because Masvidal's a piece of shit. Curtis Blades is, probably my third or fourth favorite fighter. Favorite heavyweight, always has been, always will be. Wanted to see him go against Pavlovich just because I feel like, you know, I want to see him go against guys that can hit hard and fight through adversity and get the wins. That's what I like seeing from Curtis Blades, even though it doesn't work in his favor all the time. Derek Lewis. Anyways, and then we got Song Yadong versus Henry Cejudo. That's just, I don't know, it just seems interesting to me. I just like to see it personally. It seems like it's been a while since Song Yadong has fought. Then we got Adesanya versus Chimaev, which I'm pretty sure this is going to happen soon. I think it's in talks. I'm not sure, but I'd like to see that. I think Hamzat would pull off the upset and get a decision victory there, um, if it's an upset. And then we got Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev, and I just think this would like the only fight that makes sense for uh, Alex Pereira. Anyways, let's go ahead and start the event so we can start talking about the Qatar Super Card. Qatar Super Card was absolutely legendary. Let's go through every fight. So if you guys didn't watch my prediction video, by the way, I'm making predictions for each of these fights as well, and I'm going to say MVP gets the knockout in the third round, is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say he gets a late KO. Anyways, we have my first prediction was Nada to get a knockout within 3 rounds. But here's the thing is, I didn't know that that fight was 3 rounds long, man. It was 3 rounds. And it kind of made me sad because I didn't realize it because I thought the fight would be longer. So I guess you could say the fight being 3 rounds would have motivated him more to get an early knockout rather than if it were 5 or 6 rounds. So either way, I was wrong. I thought that once I seen it was 3 rounds, I was thinking, wow, okay, that alone, it might low-key be a decision. Because then I was thinking, like, Pineda's probably going to win the first 2 rounds easily, maybe even knock Swarms down once or twice, and then he's just going to chill in the third round and not get too risky. So that, before the fight, when I found out it was 3 rounds, that's what I thought, and I actually did switch to a Pineda decision. I swear to God, this video is not going to be me lying and say, but then this was my prediction, and then before the fight, I said this. I swear that's not what it is. I'm not going to bullshit you. I changed a few of my picks. Maybe not the fighter, but the method of victory, and a few of them. And I'll tell you guys, and I'll be brutally honest. I'm an honest person. That is what I thought. When I seen it was 3 rounds, I thought Pineda's probably going to hurt him early in the first round, maybe even get a knockdown in the first 2 rounds. He'll win 2 rounds. He'll win the first 2 rounds, and then he'll kind of get lazy in the third round and not get caught with anything. And that's kind of what happened. But yeah, so that. But let's talk about the fight itself. Pretty good fight. Nada came out. Swarms yet again is showing that he has the potential to be, a fairly good influencer boxer, but he's just not doing what he needs to do, man. He's looking good. He comes out every open workout, every fight. He looks good in the open workout, the build up, seeing training footage and sparring. He looks like he's improving. He's getting the basics down, learning how to throw a proper punch, learning, footwork. I gotta say, I was impressed with his footwork, man. It's getting better. It is getting better, and I'm just saying here, I'm gonna go out on a limb. If he gets the right 3 or 4 fights, man, I'm just saying, because this man will take any fight. Don't get me wrong. He will take any fight, and I respect him for that. He took the Deji fight. His first ever fucking fight was KSI. And, obviously Pineda, obviously his debut in Misfits was against KSI. They fought him on the same night when KSI fought 2 opponents. But that was his first fight, man. And, it's just, I don't know, man. He'll take any fight. I think he'll keep getting better. I think he will eventually take a big fight against a somewhat tough opponent where people are going to count him out, and then I think he'll get a pretty good decision win against whoever that is. That's what I see his trajectory being. That's what I see his path leading to, and hopefully it does. I just want to see the best for him. The guy works hard. He takes a bunch of fights. I respect it. Full on respect. But my prediction technically was right because I switched it before the fight. But if we're going off the video, I was incorrect because I said a Pineda TKO or a stoppage, and he ended up getting a decision. And next time a big fight like this happens, I'll make sure I know how many rounds each fight is, just so I can give educated picks. Because on my life, if I would have known it was 3 rounds, I would have picked a Pineda decision for the exact reason that I just described. But moving on to the next fight that I predicted, Chase Demore versus Kells. I predicted a Chase Demore knockout in the second or third. So basically within 3, but I said second or third round, I'm pretty sure, is what I said. Um, I thought he'd come out. I thought, he'd beat Chase. He's, the way he fights, even the way the fight built up, you'd think he'd come out and just go for it and start swinging, use his power, and put on a good performance. But one of the worst fights I've ever seen. Both of those guys are going to need a good bounce back fight. I don't think Kells should ever fight again, just because I just don't know if this is for him. There's not a lot of other guys in this scene for heavyweights that he could really fight. I mean, you could see some new people. By the way, guys, oh my God, we have to talk about Wade Clemens. Wade, the Wade concept. He's back at Misfits, but he's fighting. He's fighting that piece of shit, HS Tiki Taki. He's fighting him. He's fighting him, and he needs to fuck him up. I remember hearing all day KSI's got a huge announcement during this card, and I was thinking, oh my God, is he going to announce that he's fighting Amir Khan, or that he's going to fight the winner of Tommy Fury, Darren Till, or is he going to announce somebody else and catch us off guard? I was thinking, oh my God, it's a KSI fight announcement. And when he was in the ring, he was talking. He said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to fight. And then he proceeds to make us think he's about to announce a fight, but then he says, this announcement isn't about who I'm fighting. And he's like, this is a guy who's going to fight that Mam Taylor said will never be back on the Misfits again. And then he brings out Wade. He's like, come on out, Wade, or something, whatever he said. And Wade comes out. KSI tries to shake his hand. Wade doesn't shake his hand. I don't know. I don't think any of that was scripted. But, Wade being in character and, maybe how he actually feels after all the drama that happened with him. He comes out, and Wade's like, I want to fight. KSI starts laughing at him, and then he's like, all right, why don't you fight HS Tiki Taki? They come out, they bring him out into the ring. Wade does a little talking shit thing with them, and HS Tiki Taki says that he's going to treat Wade like his girlfriend, or he's going to turn him into his girlfriend. And Wade comes back with the greatest line I've ever heard, and he says, I've seen what you do to girls, man. I don't want any part of that. Oh, that was savage. Fucking savage, man. Wade needs to train. I know he's already training. I seen today he posted that he's training. He ran 6 kilometers, and he was running at a pretty good speed and burned like 500-600 calories. Did his thing, man. And I'm never not going to choose Wade. Like, I'm never not going to root for Wade, man. I'm always going to be on Wade's side. I always am going to want him to win. I love Wade to death, and the only time where I wouldn't root for him in a fight would be against KSI. Maybe Deji as well, but those fights aren't going to happen. I know Wade was asked about it today, and he was like, yeah, I mean, somebody said, what about a KSI fight in the future potentially? And he said, I'm focused on the Tiki Taki fight. We'll see what happens. Who knows what could happen in the future. Respect to Wade for wanting to challenge himself. I love the guy to death, and if he ever does happen to listen to this, that would be awesome. But not that he ever would. But Wade, you're absolute fucking beast, man. And the way, like, the content you put out is so great. And I would love to see you do more content about professional boxing. I'm a huge, huge, huge boxing fan and MMA fan. I'd love to see you have, like, a side channel where you break down, boxing fights and MMA fights, even, like, unheard of boxers, but still main event worthy champions and stuff like that. I'd love to see you have a second channel dedicated to that, even though I know you're going to be busy, so that wouldn't happen. But man, Wade just he makes great videos, man. He really carries promotions sometimes, if I'm being honest. But yeah, no more Wade glazing. I mean, he's just a great guy. But let's move on. So it was a chase decision in that fight against Kells, and fucking terrible fight. Don't even want to talk about it anymore. Chase won a decision that was the most boring fight ever. Don't care to see any of those guys fight again unless it involves seeing Chase Demore get knocked out by somebody. But yeah, I said Chase second or third round knockout. He got a decision, and it was the worst fight ever. Done with that. Moving on to a pretty good fight. I would say it was not what it was hyped up to be, but it was still a good fight. Especially, it was a good bounce back after the Chase Demore shit show that happened. It was a good bounce back. Um, by the way, this card went by really quickly. I will say that. Every fight, like one fight would end, they do about 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes of talking, and then the next fight would be walking out. They'd get introduced right away. They wouldn't do a 5 minute long walkout. Every fight, man, one fight would end, you would see more fighting, probably 8 to 9 minutes after that. And the card moved by so fast, and I'm so glad because I was so tired. But anyways, Yeti Gang TV versus Lil Cray Cray. Great fight. Yeti Gang started off slow. First 2 rounds, you could give them really to either guy. You could say, I think Lil Cray Cray. I'm going off of memory here. I believe I gave the second round to Lil Cray Cray, and I gave the first round to Yeti. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember. Could have been the other way around. But the third round is what I do know. That Yeti came out, flashy head movement, dancing on him, having fun. He looked very comfortable, very loose, very just everything that you want to be in a boxing ring. Dominated that round, got a beautiful 10-9 round, very convincingly as well. Everyone gave him that round. But then he just stopped after that. And by the way, Masvidal won that. Masvidal definitely won that. Bullshit. That would not happen if they fought. So I'm 0-1 on those predictions, unfortunately. But yeah, so if we're going off the winners of the fights, I'm 2-0 with Pineda and Chase Demore. But if we're going off the method of victory, which I don't count that, I just count the prediction of who's going to win because, you know, it could be either a knockout or a decision. But yeah, but Yeti Gang came out, man, looked great in the third round. Moving on to Curtis Blades and Sergey Pavlovich here. Let's go ahead and move on. We're going to get this moving a little bit quicker because we're kind of blowing through the fights. I'd say this timing lines up just about perfectly. We should, right around the main event on this, we should be talking about the Qatar main event as well. But here we go. We're going to need about 2 quick knockouts from these guys, and Pavlovich is probably going to realistically get a first-round knockout here, but we'll see. Anyways, Yeti Gang looked great in the third round, then he just slowed down from there. Lil Cray Cray definitely deserved the decision victory that he got. If you guys didn't watch that fight, suggest going back, maybe watching the highlights. There was never a point. I did say both guys would taste the canvas at least one time, and that didn't happen. I was just thinking, like, it's just going to come out and it's just going to be a big fight and they're both going to go for it. Both are going to get rocked one time. But no, pretty good fight, though. Cray decision, definitely deserved it. Respect to him. I never disliked either one of those guys. There's not a lot of people on this card I disliked other than Chase Demore. It's probably the only person. Maybe even Kells, but Kells, like, not bad enough to dislike, you know what I mean? But yeah, Cray decision, did his thing. I am 2-1 with my predictions now after choosing Yeti Gang to get the win. Respect to Cray. Can't wait to see him go on and fight. Oh wait, and I was going to say for every fight who I think they should fight next. So let's start with Pineda. Pineda, no fucking idea. He called out Deji. Honest to God, I would not mind seeing Deji after the abomination of a fight that he had yesterday. I would not mind seeing him step up and fight Pineda because I don't care what people say. That is a 50-50 fight. I don't care. Deji is so hit or miss in his fights. I think Deji versus Pineda is a 50-50. And I do think Deji could get the win because I do think he'd come out and train harder than he ever has. I do think that. But you never fucking know. Whoever wins that fight, if it were to happen, depends on Deji's physique. If he's out of shape, he loses. Probably gets TKO'd or stopped early on in the fight, potentially. Or maybe even late on, who knows. I do think Deji would train, and I do think he would win. Chase Demore, who cares who he fights next? Whoever he fights, I hope they knock him out. Yeti Gang, don't really know, man. I would love to see him fight maybe Waleed Sharks. Maybe him versus Waleed would be a good fight. I do think he would end up beating Waleed, unfortunately, and I love both of those guys to death, and I'd love to see them have a good war, man. I don't think he would stop Waleed. I think Waleed's got a really good chin. and Dean couldn't really even put him down in their second fight. I mean, he did, but he had trouble doing it. You know what I mean? So I do think Yachty, depending on if he comes out and throws and lets his hand goes with the high volume that he usually does, I do think he'd get a decision against Waleed Sharks. If he doesn't, Waleed legitimately could. Let's not get it twisted. He legitimately could rock him. Good shit, Carlos Blades, by the way. But yeah, there's that early stoppage. We need to get a move on with this fight here. Let's go ahead and skip this. But I do think Waleed could put down Yachty. I do think he could knock him down. I don't know about finishing, but maybe. That's a potential fight. And obviously, Lil Cray Cray is moving on to fight Dean the Great. That's known because that's part of the tournament. Who do I think wins that fight? I think Lil Cray Cray wins. I think don't get me wrong, it's going to be a hell of a fight. Both guys, a lot of speed, sit you down power, a lot, man. That's going to be a banger of a fight. If nothing happens that fucks it up, knock on wood. I don't have any wood. But if I did, I'd knock on it. So I might have just fucked that whole fight and it might get canceled now. Um, by the way, I was predicting Popovich to get a knockout there, by the way, earlier. And so, I'm being honest, even though he lost, I could have just said that I thought Blades would win. But this, I'm going to say Cejudo ends up getting a submission. Even though in real life I would want Song Yadong to get a TKO. But I'm going to say Cejudo gets a decision here late in the fight, like very end of the third round. Or he wins on a ground control decision. Ground control time decision. I'm not sure. We'll see. But yeah, man, Lil Cray Cray, I think he will win. I do think he will stop Dean the Great and finish him. Oh my god. Oh my fuck, man. Damn, he's getting his ass beat. But I do think, and this is a bold pick, I do think Lil Cray Cray finishes Dean the Great. The reason why is because Waleed could have done it twice, and he didn't. I think Lil Cray Cray will not make that mistake. You've seen Waleed rock Dean the Great in their second fight, the rematch. You've seen him rock him on the first punch. Dean got wobbled. Waleed didn't go for it, man. Which, don't get me wrong, I know you don't want to when you're fighting someone with that kind of speed. But I think Lil Cray Cray, if he hits Dean, I think he's going to go for it, and I think he'll get it, because he will not give Dean the Great time to recover. So I do think Lil Cray Cray will end up stopping Dean the Great, and I do think it will be within 3 rounds, maybe 4 rounds, I'm not sure. But moving on, we got to get a move on here. We'll talk about these fights. Warren Spencer, I predicted him to get a KO within 2 rounds, and the actual outcome was a Warren Spencer decision. So there's no way Cejudo's rocking Song Yadong, by the way. This would never happen. I don't care. But Warren Spencer, KO within 2 rounds is what I said. Didn't happen. He got the decision. He could have probably got it. Nick LMAO looked very good. I'm going to start calling him Lick. Fuck, I said it again. Nick Lamau is what I'm going to call him now because it's faster. But Nick Lamau looked a lot tougher than I gave him credit for. I thought, he looked good against Chase Wingler. He didn't really get hit with anything too hard, which is why he was able to get the win. I was thinking, he's a newer guy. He's going to get hit with something hard here that he hasn't had before, and he won't know how to adapt to it. But, hey, full on respect to him. And I said I just wanted to see a good fight. I like both of those guys. Not a huge fan, and I don't mean that I dislike Nick. I'm not that invested into watching him. But I've got to say, I am now. Don't get me wrong. I'm actually excited to see what he does next. If he gets a Jay Swingler rematch, I'd love to see the winner of that get a Warren Spencer rematch. I would love, because I personally would love to see Jay Swingler fight Warren Spencer. I do think Spencer would potentially get a decision or a late KO there. But yeah, so who do I think should be next for Nick Lamau? I think the Jay Swingler rematch is an obvious one that you kind of have to consider at the, top number one consideration. Warren Spencer, who I think should be next for him. Honest to God, I would like to see him fight the winner of that rematch. I would love to see him fight that winner. I don't know a lot of other guys around the weight that he could fight. I'm sure there's people I'm not thinking of, but maybe an Alex Wasabi. I'm not sure if they're around the same weight or not. I'm not too familiar with all of these guys' weight classes and shit, but I do think that fight could happen. They look about around the same size. Plus, Nick Lamau was in a tag team um, fight that Alex Wasabi was in. So I do think that fight could happen. Maybe a Warren Spencer Alex Wasabi fight. Who knows? I'd like to see Deji personally. I'd like to see Deji fight Pineda, and then after the Pineda fight, if he wins or has a good performance, I'd like to see him go and rematch Alex Wasabi and get that win. And then from there, he can do whatever he wants. I would prefer him to quit after that, or maybe get one more fight. Who knows? Maybe if somebody starts doing good, and maybe like if Swarms starts doing good in the future, and he calls out Deji for a rematch, that would be a great fight. But yeah, man. So that's what I want to see from there. And I won't spend too much time talking about this fight, but Ben Williams versus Jarvis. I picked Ben Williams to get a mid-fight KO, TKO. I was actually thinking maybe a knockout, and I was banking off the fact that he would come out, swing like a madman. Jarvis doesn't have enough experience to prepare for it, and he'd get caught with something that would inevitably end the fight later on for him. And that looked like what was happening, man. That looked like what was going to happen until Ben Williams apparently hurt his ankle or his leg or something along those lines. But before that injury, I'm not saying he was dominating up until then, which kind of was. But in the round that he got hurt, Jarvis was starting to put it together and starting to land things. And I do personally believe, and you can call this a bold take, whatever you want to call it, I do personally believe Jarvis was about a minute or two away from finishing, or at least knocking down Ben Williams, because I think Ben Williams was getting tired. I think if he would have got knocked down when he was tired, Jarvis would have went in for the finish, and he would have got it. It would have been an electric moment, and he would have been looked at more. I think he would have been looked at better after, because after this fight, the way it ended, people were looking at Jarvis like, he was getting tagged up. Was he about to win the fight? But if Ben wasn't to look for a way out because he was tired, which is what I believe happened, I don't think the injury is what caused it. I'm not saying he wasn't hurt. I just think he wasn't as hurt as he was putting on, and I think he looked for a way out because he was tired and he knew what was about to happen. But I think that Jarvis, I think in a different timeline, I think he most likely would have got the finish. This just would not happen to Song Yadong, by the way. But I do think he would have got the finish, and I do think he would have been looked on more favorably. And I think he probably would have called out someone that he shouldn't have called out, maybe like a Gibb or something, I don't know. Or maybe the loser of Gibb versus Slim, I don't fucking know. The loser. Imagine calling out a loser of a fight. I want whoever loses this fight. That'd be funny. But I do think that would be who, Jarvis Slim might not be a bad fight. And we will get into who Slim can fight for a bounce back fight after his loss, by the way. But Ben Williams, who don't want to see him fight next? Nobody. I don't want to see him fight. Not really interested. Maybe, I don't fucking know. Maybe something like a Taylor Holder or a fucking, I don't know, something like that, potentially. I don't know. But yeah, and Jarvis, who don't want to see him fight next? Honest to God, I'm not thinking as deep as I should because I don't want to take up the whole video and take forever because I can only record for an hour on my PlayStation. I don't know, man. I don't know who I want to see him fight. The Gibb rematch is not there. He should not rematch Gibb unless he absolutely comes out and gets like 3 amazing wins or 2 amazing wins. Fuck, man, I don't know who he could fight. Of course, Song Yadong, but I got the winner correct, so I'm I think 2-1 with these, by the way. Oh, and by the way, I am let's see, right, wrong, right, wrong. So that's 2 that I'm wrong. 3, I got 3 and 2 for correct, so I'm 3-2 with my predictions. 3 correct, 2 wrong. I don't know who Jarvis can fight. Maybe you guys can throw some ideas in the comments if anybody watches this, because I'm irrelevant. No one cares about me. Moving on to the next fight, though, I predicted Deji to get a KO within 2 rounds. I thought he'd kind of have a slow start with the way Deji starts and fights sometimes. I thought he'd have a slow first round or 2, not really much action, and that's exactly what happened. But it was actually 2 rounds that he didn't have any action. Barely any action at all, actually. And he was actually getting pieced up, tagged a little bit, but he said after that his strategy, he's seen it was like a stick and move strategy, so he was just going to let him get tired and then unleash. But Daly gave him, which is, his coach, his trainer, and everything, gave him the advice. And he was like, I remember watching that after the second round. He was like, go out and go to fucking war. What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? You're not losing this fucking fight. Go out and go to war. And that's exactly what he came out and did. And he secured a knockout about a minute and a half later. And, respect to him, but he did not come in great shape. He did not seem to take this seriously, but he didn't, I guess, need to, but he needs to, if you know what I mean. He didn't need to get the win, but he needs to if he wants to improve and get that discipline and the training habits, make it a habit, make it natural, something that you just do without even, thinking about it. Um, but yeah, I mean, so I'm right. I called a Deji KO, as everyone did. If you didn't, you're crazy. I don't know, man, but he ended up getting it in the third round. And I said it would be an uppercut, and he went for an uppercut and missed it, but then proceeded to throw a straight right after that ended up sending his opponent to the canvas in very violent fashion. And then they got into a clinch, and I don't think Deji pushed him. I think he kind of gave him a little minor push, but I believe that he was still rocked to the point where when he hit the ground, I think his head hit the canvas and he was just too tired. But I do feel bad for the guy, but respect for him hopping in the ring, taking the Deji fight. Full respect for that. And I would have loved to see it end with cleaner punches. But yeah. Who do I want to see Deji fight? Who do I want to see his opponent fight? I forgot his name. Dawood Savage. Yeah. Who do I want to see Deji fight? I've thrown out names already. Potentially a Pineda fight before the Alex Wasabi rematch. I don't know a lot of people. I don't want to see him fight Danny fucking Aarons, bro. Fight someone worthy. God, fight someone worthy, man. Top two fights I want to see for him. I'd be happy with either one of these fights, whatever one ends up happening. If I was Deji's like strategist or whatever you want to call it, if I was giving him strategies for his career, I would say take the Pineda fight, train seriously, absolutely whoop him in convincing fashion, and then call out Alex Wasabi for a rematch, get that fight, win that fight, and then maybe you could look for maybe a Nick Lamel or a Jay Swingler or, maybe even a Warren Spencer. Oh, who knows? Who knows, man? Who knows? I don't know, maybe a Jarvis. I don't fucking know. We'd have to see. We'd have to see. I think Deji's a little bit heavier than Jarvis, though, but those are the fights I want to see, and I hope somewhere along the lines that Deji fights someone like a Nick Lamau or something, if Nick bounces back and starts doing well, of course. Dawood Savage, don't want to see him fight anymore, but if I had to choose somebody for him to fight, I'd say give him someone else who's inexperienced, but has, like, natural, decent speed, you know what I mean? I don't know who that could be. Just have to find somebody. You could realistically just find someone on the street and say, hey, throw some punches and let's see how quick it is. Oh, okay, you can throw somewhat quick, get in there. And I think it'd be a 50-50 fight. So, yeah. But moving on to the co-main event, because we've got to speed this up here. We've got this fight moving pretty quickly. I do think the next fight is going to last at least 4 rounds. So I think we have a decent amount of time here. By the way, this fight right here, who would I think would win? Ladies and gentlemen, already said Hamzat would pull off the decision upset, and it'd be a dominant decision. He might lose potentially 1 round, if that, but I don't know. But yeah, moving on to the co-main event, Salt Poppy versus King Kenny. My lord, what a knockout by Salt Poppy. Wow. I don't know how clean it landed. A lot of people said it's an elbow. It wasn't an elbow. I seen the replay. It was not an elbow. His elbow / forearm did kind of hit him a little bit, but it didn't do a lot of damage. But I picked a Salt Poppy boring decision because I was banking off the idea that Salt Poppy is a counterpuncher. He would sit and wait for King Kenny. Just wait and wait and wait, and King Kenny would kind of stay behind his jab, and he doesn't know what to do with his jab. He doesn't know how to utilize his jab to turn it into other punches and overall have good offense. He kind of just jab, 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 maybe even like occasionally jab, pop into range and throw like a right hook or an uppercut or something, but then he just gets right back out of range. So I thought it would be a pretty boring fight, and I don't like predicting that a fight's going to be a snooze fest where the crowd's booing, that's what I thought would have happened. That's what I thought was going to happen, and I think potentially if they were to fight again, you could potentially see that. You could see Salt Poppy come in confident, but not stupid to the point where he's going to run in range and start swinging like a madman. And I think you'd see King Kenny. Obviously, he wouldn't want to, he wouldn't want to go in like you did. But I think King Kenny, when he throws his jab and certain other punches, he tends to duck his head, move it off to the right. And I was thinking during that fight, I was thinking that Salt Poppy could easily land a uppercut here, or maybe even a left hook. Obviously, with King Kenny like dipping his head downwards to the right, you could land a left hook or an uppercut with a weird angle. There's a few things you could land. You never know. There's a bunch of punches, obviously, that you could land in that situation. But being a southpaw, preferably, you would want it to potentially be a left straight or maybe even a left uppercut. But I don't know. Southpaw versus Orthodox was always an interesting fight. Respect to both of those guys. King Kenny fought dirty, which is something that I don't think is talked about, throwing him on the ground once, and then he did it again afterwards, and it was a bit of a more aggressive throw. And he's lucky he didn't hurt Salt Poppy, because that would have been bullshit. And after seeing that second time where he threw Salt Poppy on the ground, I was thinking, okay, wow, because I did ultimately pick a Salt Poppy decision, but now I want to see him knock you out. And going into that, I was like, respect to King Kenny and Salt Poppy. I like watching both of these guys, which I'm still going to like watching King Kenny. Don't get me wrong. But after that, I was just sitting there thinking, wow, I actually want to see Salt Poppy knock you out. And that's exactly what happened, and I'm glad it did. Because fighting like that, just, I don't like it, man. I don't fucking like it, If you're like shoving them and knocking them on the ground gently, yeah, but if you're throwing them on the ground hard like you did Salt Poppy, that's just like, come on, man, you know what I mean? But, I did also in the prediction video, if you watch it again, I did say you could see a Salt Poppy late KO, which technically I think is what you've seen, because I think it was a 5-rounder and it happened in the 3rd round. It might have been a 6-round fight, I'm not sure. But, great fight. Should have. I personally, I'm a bit of a brute, or I'm a bit brutal, I guess is what you could say, because I wanted, when he got knocked down, I wanted to see King Kenny get back up, answer the count, and keep fighting, and then I wanted to see Salt Poppy maul him and get a brutal KO, like out cold, is what I wanted to see personally, because the way King Kenny was fighting. You could say that's malicious, but that's how I feel. Thank God this fight just ended, because we are moving on to the main event, and Adesanya knocked him out. That would not happen. Actually, Hamzat's chin is a bit well, it's not overrated, it's just not good. And people don't realize how not good it is. You know what I mean? So in a way, it's overrated, I would say, but it's just because people don't acknowledge that his chin isn't as good as it should be. Maybe if they fought, maybe Adesanya would win. Maybe he could land something. I don't fucking know, man. I don't know. Here we go with the main event. This fight is something I would like to see. Feel like it'd be pretty interesting. Who do I think would win in real life? I think Alex Pereira would get um, a mid-fight knockout, like 3rd round or something. Late 2nd round, early 3rd round knockout. Do I think Magomed Ankalaev, do I think he could pull it off? Yeah, I think he could pull it off. They're all top tier fighters, top of their game. They know what they're doing. He could definitely pull it off. Who do I think is going to win on this simulation? I think Alex Pereira is going to win. I think he's going to win with a head kick. But yeah, moving on to the main event. While we're watching this main event, hopefully it doesn't end too fast, and it's over. No, I'm kidding. Hopefully it doesn't end too fast. Well, let's go ahead and get talking about this before it does end. So, Slim versus Gibb, I ended up picking. Obviously, I love both these guys. I ended up picking a Slim KO in the 3rd round specifically. I've seen a lot of different outcomes. I could have seen a Slim knockout. I could have seen a Gibb decision. I could have seen a Gibb late TKO. And potentially, very unlikely, but potentially a Slim decision if he were to hurt Gibb early enough to the point where Gibb can't recover good enough to grind out those late rounds. But, yeah, no, man. Gibb came out, done his thing. I thought Slim would win. Let's check what I went with my predictions so far. So, 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2, 5-3. So I went 5-3, not too bad. But anyways, Gibb came out in and out of range. He'd come in, boom, 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 get out of range, hop right back out, in and out kind of style, which worked very well against the longer fighter in Slim. Slim was the longer fighter. Slim had, I technically, I guess he has more experience because he has more fights, but I think Gibb is the smarter fighter. Gibb has the IQ, just the knowledge of the game. He clearly understands, I would say, understands boxing on a deeper level because he made Slim look like he doesn't think when he's fighting and kind of just throws the same shit. But I think ultimately that Gibb made him look silly. I think the only round that Slim won was the first round. I don't think you could, I think you maybe could make an argument for the second round, but I don't think so. I don't know, man. I seen Gibb getting a KO, but I also did say that this fight's literally like the definition of a 50-50 fight. It was like barely, to me, in my brain, it was barely in favor of Slim, and I will say this. Oh wait, sorry guys. Salt Poppy, who do I want to see him fight next? I don't know. Don't fucking maybe a Slim rematch. I don't, especially after the loss. That could work, because the story is there. Slim lost a main event. He lost his fight. Salt Poppy came back after losing to Slim and got a knockout win. And in that fight, Salt Poppy was beating Slim before Slim got the KO. A lot of people say it was lucky. The rematch story is there. That could happen, potentially. I would like to see that. That's who I want to see him fight next. That's the only one I want to see him fight, too, actually. Yeah, fuck it. King Kenny, who do I want to see him fight? I don't know, man. Who fight to bounce back after that? Maybe like a... I don't fucking know. Has FaZe Temper been doing good lately? I haven't paid too much attention to him. If FaZe Temper's been winning against decent opponents, I want to see that. I want to see them rematch, I guess. Fuck it. I don't know. I don't know who else he could fight, man. I'm sure there's guys I'm not thinking of, but anyways, let's focus on the main event. I don't care who King Kenny fights. I'll watch it, but I don't care who it is. Anyways, who do I want to... But yeah, Gibb done well, man. Just so well. KSI's biased commentary was a bit annoying, but funny at the same time. I was just like, whatever, who cares? It's his fucking promotion. Let him do it, I guess, whatever. But who do I want to see Gibb fight? I don't fucking know. I don't know, man. There's not a lot of guys you can think of. I don't think Salt Poppy needs that fight. Gibb would absolutely beat Salt Poppy. And I will say this, I'm not sleeping on Gibb anymore. I don't care, man. It was hard. I love both of those guys. I didn't know who to pick. I ultimately picked Slim. Anyone who Gibb fights that's not KSI or Slim, I'm gonna root for Gibb. Unless it's Deji, then, I don't know. I love both of those guys. I don't know. I'd have to pick Gibb. But if Gibb's not fighting KSI or Slim, I'm rooting for Gibb. And I love both of those guys. It was hard for me to choose. It was really hard for me to choose. Where's that head kick, Pereira? Can you hurry up and do it? So I could, yeah. But yeah, man, fuck. I want to see Gibb fight. I don't fucking know. Just somebody who will put up a fight. I don't think Salt Poppy is the fight for him. I think Gibb should take a vacation. Maybe, potentially, the best solution for him would be to watch some of the influencer boxing for the next few months and see what happens. So I don't think the fight for him is known yet. I think, there's the head kick. I think somebody's going to have a big performance here in the future. And whoever that is, whoever ends up coming out on top, I think, oh my god, wow. I think whoever ends up having that future big performance could potentially secure a fight with Gibb. And I'd like to see Gibb back on Misfits. The story's there. Talking shit about the promotion. KSI doesn't want him to win against his fighters. The story's there. Very good business with Gibb and his team and Mams Taylor and KSI and all them. Very good business there. Very smart business as well. Same with the Wade and Mams Taylor situation. I don't know who I want Gibb to fight yet. I think we're gonna have to watch 3 to 4 more influencer boxing events to determine that. Someone's gonna have to put on a hell of a performance, and I think somebody will do it. Um, yeah, man. Just I don't know. Who do I want to see Slim fight? Salt Poppy rematch. I've already said it. I'd love to see Slim get a Salt Poppy rematch. I don't want to see Gib fight KSI because I don't want to see Gib get knocked out by KSI or beat in a very good decision. I don't want to see Slim fight KSI because he just lost to Gib. So I want to see Slim bounce back, maybe beat Salt Poppy and leave no doubt this time. And if he does it in good enough fashion, maybe potentially if he shows huge improvement, maybe a Gibb rematch. But let's be real here, that's not happening. Gibb's not going to give him that. He's going to be the guy who's like, "I already beat your ass, man. Well, what do you mean? I've already beat your ass. There's no need to fight again." It's the worst accent ever, but that's what I would imagine Gibb saying. But yeah, man, respect to Slim and Gibb. Slim didn't do enough, man. He just couldn't land anything. Gibbs showed the levels, he showed the IQ, and it was kind of funny seeing him troll KSI after this. Kind of funny, as much as I love KSI, it was pretty funny seeing him troll KSI. Um, I don't know, man. Um, Gibbs said he's gonna have to, the money's gonna have to be right, and he'll fight whoever, man. He's gonna fight someone worthy. I just don't fucking know, like, where he goes from this. Someone who is on the level of Gibb other than KSI, because KSI is above Gibbs' level. The best case scenario if Gibb were to fight KSI would be that he loses a decision that was like not close, but not like an absolute blowout, but not close. You know what I mean? Somewhere in the middle, where there's like no question that KSI won, but also Gibb got him a round or two in there. You know what I mean? It'd be one of those things. That would be best case scenario for Gibb. I think KSI ultimately would knock out Gibb, but I think because KSI's got more IQ than a Slim. But I don't know, man. We're gonna have to see who does what within these next few months before we decide maybe who should fight Gibb. Slim needs the Salt Poppy rematch. That story is there. You could legitimately make another super card. Does Slim deserve to headline a super card? I would say make it a co-main at KSI's next fight. So whoever KSI fights next, potentially the winner of Tommy Fury or Darren Till, maybe Amir Khan. Whoever KSI fights next, throw the Slim and Salt Poppy rematch on the co-main for that event. And then from there, maybe make, who knows, maybe make a Deji and Pineda fight on the card, or a Deji Wasabi 2. All these fights that happen, maybe throw some of those on the KSI fight. You could see a Jarvis fight with somebody. I don't know who, but maybe a Nick Lamal. Jarvis and Nick Lamal. Jarvis, Warren Spencer. I don't know, man. There's a few things you could do with this. Pineda Deji, I'd like to see. Swarms, I don't know who I'd like to see him fight. Did I ever say who he should fight next? I don't know anybody. I just want to see him get some good wins in his next 2 or 3 fights. That's all I want. I don't know who he should fight next. Uh, and we haven't even mentioned Joe Weller into the scene, by the way. Joe Weller needs to come back, and he needs to fight, and I don't know who he should fight. Um, maybe, maybe a Deji fight. Maybe Deji could do like a Pineda fight, and then hopefully Joe Weller would be ready to come back by then, and then you could get a Joe Weller fight, maybe a Pineda rematch. You could maybe get a Joe Weller fight against, I don't know, the weights, but maybe someone like a Jarvis. I don't know if he's too heavy for Jarvis. Maybe someone like a Ben Williams. Maybe a, I don't know. There's probably a bunch of other guys I'm not thinking of. But yeah, man, that's what I'm thinking of this event. 9 out of 10 event. Wade's back on Misfits, but it's to fight against a Misfits up and coming star. Even though I don't think he's an up and coming star, I think he's a bum. Um, yeah, man, let's just go through all these right here. Oh, we can't watch the replay. That's fine. But yeah, guys, pretty good event. W event. Good fights. Fighter of the night, Gibb. I would say Gibb definitely deserves fighter of the night. Put on a dominant performance. No matter what KSI thinks, he definitely deserves it. Knockout of the night, Salt Poppy, of course. Um, Most disappointing fight, Chase Demore and Kells. Um, Most unexpected turnout would be. Let me think here. Let me scroll through some of these fights. Most unexpected turnouts. Honest to God, honest to God, I'm thinking the most unexpected turnout was a Chase decision, a Chase Demore decision. Despite how terrible that fight was, I don't think anyone's seen it go into a decision. Maybe somebody did. I don't know. I'm sure somebody did. Well, definitely somebody did. But yeah, man, those are my picks for those, nominations. Good fight, best fight. Best fight overall, though, I would say Nick Lamal versus Warren Spencer was fight of the night. I don't know. It's hard, man. Fuck. I don't fucking know. If King Kenny would have put up more of a fight, you could have said that. I don't know. But yeah, man, that's my thoughts on the card. I'm gonna go ahead and end it here instead of like acting like I'm gonna end it like I have been. I actually want to end it. Let me know what fights you guys want me to talk about. We've got some good boxing fights coming up. Starting to get more into boxing with not just the big names, but other guys as well. We've got some MMA fights coming up. This is basically talking about fights and making predictions now, because this is what I do on this channel now, apparently. Let me know if there's any fights you guys want me to discuss. We've got the Usyk and Fury, Tyson Fury, and Alexander Usyk rematch coming up. I think, you know what? I won't say what I think. I will not say what I think. Just keep in mind, I'm a huge, huge fan of both of these guys. Huge fan of both of these guys. And I'm not necessarily as big of a fan of Tyson Fury as I used to be, but I am still a pretty big Tyson Fury fan. But I used to be a way bigger Tyson Fury fan. I will make a prediction on that fight and maybe see what all else is on that card. What else fights do we have coming up? There's a lot, but I'd have to look at them, but I won't do that. I'll end this video now, and we can talk about those in another video. The next video you'll probably see is maybe a Mortal Kombat video or two, because I just re-downloaded it, and I'm actually going to buy the $20, because Mortal Kombat 1 is on sale for $20. I might make some videos about that, because I broke my left joystick, and you can play Mortal Kombat with your arrows, so there's not a lot of games I can play with my joystick, unfortunately, being broken. But yeah, I'm actually ending the video now, guys. Sorry, but that's what I thought about the Qatar Supercard. 9 out of 10 event. 9 out of 10 event. 5 and 3 for my picks. 5 correct picks. 3 incorrect winner picks. Yeah, let me know what you guys want to see next. And peace out. Pretty good 50-minute video here. But yeah, see y'all, boys.